how many legal dramas there are in the film industry, both the western and eastern side of the world? Countless. But many of those dramas show the side of the lawyers being all suave and coming in clutch in court, with witnesses bursting into the courtroom at the last moment and the best attorney shouting, "Objection!" I hate to be the one to burst your bubble, but that's not what the true brew experience is as a lawyer in court. When you are lucky enough to escape the countless documents waiting for you in the office, the other end of the stick will be you waiting anxiously for hours on end outside the courtroom, pacing frantically like an anxious cat waiting for their next meal in a locked cage, just to perk up at your suit number being called before getting before the judge and realizing that you had literally forgotten to bring the very document that you need. Fuck. That's 99% of the time as a new associate. No wonder the attrition rates are astronomical. So that was me in my first and second year as a legal associate, spending my time pacing outside the courtroom half the time, anxious out of my mind that I may not know some obscure law in the corner of some never heard before act that I was supposedly supposed to know because people who have been in the industry for 20 years literally know everything by then and expect a newcomer to be the same. And as the legal associate in a relatively small firm, you are the bottom of the chain in your firm of lawyers, and rightfully so, depending on what your subjective view is. I was sent to do the most mundane errands and court hearings. One of those court hearings would be criminal mentions, which are usually not as exciting as it sounds, but literally, in my opinion, one of the most intimidating experiences you can have starting out. So in court, there are different courtrooms you can be assigned to, depending on the type of hearing your case falls into. 1. There are the chambers, which are the closed room, not open to the public office or conference boardroom meetings with the registrar or the judge, usually to hear smaller matters or for pre-trial administrative conferences. For new lawyers, these are your relatively safe zones, where even if you screw up, you most likely will not be screwing up in front of a crowd, and you can cry in private, only witnessed by the judge and God, or whichever recording system got on your sniffles taped out. And then there is the open court, which are, as its name suggests, courtrooms that are open to public for viewing / spectacle, whatever you wish to call them. This is where the true humiliation can come out of the blue without any warning at all, as all of your actions are not only audio taped, but likely also video recorded. Because these are the courtrooms which usually hear important matters like the actual trial itself or appeal hearings. And within this category of open court, there are courtrooms that are exceptionally busy. Let's say, if you are in an open court for trial, typically the only ones you'll be worried about would be the judge and your client, as they are the only ones who care to be in attendance. But there are open courts that have regular sessions every week, which are mainly administrative in nature, and hear and deliver judgment on smaller offences. These are the criminal mention courts, where the judge have a long list of individuals who have been charged with typically minor offences and are waiting for their case to be processed. They are here to face before a judge or convey their intention to contest their charges and proceed for a fair trial. Should they choose to plead guilty on the same day, and their offence is minor enough such that there are no extenuating circumstances that the judge needs to consider in mitigation, the judge can usually give a sentence then and there. For example, a sentence for a charge of littering. The judge can make the decision on the spot to find the individual and have the individual make payment at the registrar the very day. Case closed. These courtrooms are the most intimidating for a new associate in my opinion, because it is like a literal war zone in there. As a lawyer, there are several steps you must take before your case even gets on the queue list. And yes, there is a queue, a long one that can last for hours. So first, you must sign yourself and your client in by writing on this piece of paper printed off to the side of the courtroom. So, if you are unaware and new, no one is there to hold your hand step by step. You literally have to discover these sign-up forms by the side of the room, like discovering the Liyue bank chest in Genshin Impact. Then, you have to fill up the said form and pass the form to the judge's clerk or secretary. Who to pass to? Well, you can ask any of the 10 court staff in the courtroom if they are the judge's clerk in charge of arranging for the queue that day. If you are lucky, you get to them on the first try. Next, you go to the prosecution side of the courtroom, which is usually in a mess as well, because the poor prosecutor usually has more than one cases that morning, and guess who did not have time to review every single one of the 20 cases that morning? The poor prosecutor who did not have enough sleep the night before. So, you talk to one of the 10 prosecutors, pray that you get to the one who has read your client's case, and then you start to ask, so, what is the prosecution side up to today? If you are lucky, they agree with whatever you're asking for, be it bail, adjournment, or whatever. If you are not lucky, guess who is taking up an anti-anxiety pill in the next 10 seconds because boy, you don't have time to look through the bail act right now. So next, if you have not already done so, or if you need to redo this step again, you go out of the courtroom and into the public gallery where your client is waiting anxiously because he sure as hell does not know what is going on or what's going to happen. And so you tell them, okay, later make very sure that you keep your ears open, and when you hear your full name being called, just walk like a robot and move to that box over there, okay? Over there. Do not say another word unless you are being questioned, okay? Now, repeat that 10 times to your client for reassurances purposes. Alright? Now you are about done with the preparation part because you finally go back into the courtroom to take a seat just to realize that every other good seat that's conveniently right in front of the podium microphone has been taken up by just about any other senior lawyer who was smart enough to put their backs there to chope. Chope is this culture in Singapore where you leave your literal belongings on a seat or table, such as a tissue pack, to indicate that the seat has been booked or reserved. So now, because you are young and stupid, you have to sit on this slightly narrow bench at the back of the courtroom, and you cry internally because that's where you have to sit for the next 40 minutes at least if you are lucky, and if not, hours. You pray for your butt. If things goes well, judge commence session in court and you will be free or scolded in a few hours in open court in front of literally hundreds of people. Oh, and did I say the hearing will be conducted in public in front of literally hundreds of other accused and their family who is waiting for their turn to attend before the judge? Think Judge Judy show, but times 5 the audience size, and with a lot of people coming and going. It's a marketplace. So all in all, a very stressful but mundane experience for a young associate to go through. Or maybe I just am weak. I don't know. So that was me about 2 to 3 years ago when I was just a fledgling associate trying to survive in a small law firm on my own. It was a mundane morning. If I didn't remember wrongly, when I showed up at the criminal mansion's courtroom, this was the state courts that has just been newly renovated, and I could almost smell the fresh paint on the wall and the floor wax or polish as I was making my way to the courtroom. As usual, this particular courtroom was always busy on this particular weekday. As far as my eyes could see, almost every other seat in the public sitting area was filled, and I was one of the few in formal black and white suit. Almost all eyes fell on me in an instant, or at least I was super self-conscious of every stare, since my suit gave me away that I was there as counsel. not as a defendant. As usual, I was there for a criminal mention just to seek an adjournment. Nothing interesting, as I had just taken over the case, and usually we will be given an adjournment to take our client's specific instructions. Plus, on this day, the courtroom was hearing offences related to environmental offences, usually just littering or mosquito breeding cases. So, not very sexy and highly mundane on this particular day. I slowly make my way to the glass door, separating the courtroom and the public sitting area, making sure I didn't trip or fall, cause gosh darn it, that would have been embarrassing in front of an audience. So here I was, about 1 year into my budding career, hating every moment of this as anxiety crawled through me. I was alone, making my way into the courtroom where all the court secretaries are working like a well-oiled machine. "Counsel, have you filled up the form yet?" one of them asked. "Oh, no. Sorry, we'll do it now," I said as I scrambled to grab one of the papers at the side to fill in my name and my client's case, almost as if I'm back at school reporting for attendance. I handed over my form to the secretary and whispered, "Am I at the top of the queue?" You see, court this morning was busy, so very busy, and all I'm asking for is an adjournment today, so naturally, as most counsels do, I ask if I will be called by the judge early or late. If it is late, damn it, I will have to waste about 2 hours just to sit around in court, waiting to be called, only for my case to be adjourned after 5 minutes. So that's fun. "No, unfortunately, there's quite a few before you," the secretary said. Damn. If I had a bit more grey hair on my head, perhaps I would have decent courage to request that I be put at the front of the list, because that's what I heard or seen some senior counsels do. But I was wimpy, barely comfortable in my suit, and unfortunately all the good comfy seats near the podium microphones were taken, as usual, by smarter lawyers who obviously knew this courtroom like the back of their hands. Damn it again. So without much of a choice, and unless I want to make a spectacle of myself in the open courtroom, I sat down on one of the bench seats at the back, those that were hard on my butt, and waited. Most of the cases on that day were individuals who had been charged with minor offences, nothing too crazy. So I zoned them out and dug nose deep into my file, worrying whether I had everything that I need with me, not wanting to be caught off guard in case the judge asked me anything. For some reason, the next case that the secretary called caught my mind. Perhaps I was already bored of my own file after reading it for the 10th time and decided to be part of the audience instead. "Mr. Chua, case number..." Mr. Chua is not his real name, by the way. A small Chinese man in his 60s or 70s walked up to the accused box to the side of the courtroom, where his identity was swiftly confirmed by the court assistant standing at the entrance. He took out his IC and was led into the accused box. The judge of the day was a young female judge, imposing in her robes, but already seemed tired by the morning cases that she had just gone through. I know I would be. I briefly wondered what it would be like to be in her position, only to dismiss that thought just as quickly. I shudder to think about the pressure and stress. Kudos to her though. The usual procedure before the start of the mention begins where the court assistant confirms with the judge that the charge sheet has been read out to the accused and he understood the contents of the charge sheet. Once that is done, the judge would usually want to know what the accused intends to do. Will he be writing to the prosecution? Will he be pleading guilty? Or will he be claiming trial? The atmosphere is usually solemn and urgent, as there are way more hearings going after him. However, There's just a certain indignant aura about Mr. Chua that immediately caught my attention, and I knew something was about to happen, although I was not sure what. When Mr. Chua was questioned by the judge of his intention this hearing, instead of giving a straightforward answer of pleading guilty or claiming trial as the judge and anyone in the courtroom would have wished, Mr. Chua gave a brief puff under his breath, and it stinks of reluctance and indignance. Oh. That's often not a good sign. Mr. Chua stated loudly and clearly in his best English to the judge that, yes, but I don't think I should pay lah. This is not an answer acceptable in the courtroom. You must be certain and clear of your guilty plea, and whatever Mr. Chua has just said was not clear enough in the eyes of the law. Naturally, the judge gave a quirk of her eyebrow and requested for him to clarify whether or not he is pleading guilty today. If he is, the judge will then slap him a fine that day, but if it's not, the judge will move the matter forward and request for a pre-trial conference where Mr. Chua can then proceed to claim trial, as was his right. Mr. Chua then proceeded to explain his charge of littering in the most animated fashion. With his eyes wide and his blood pressure clearly rising, he claimed he had never intentionally thrown that piece of construction paper from his flat to the floor below. It just so happened that one of his windows was opened and the wind carried it. It was not him. Why should he be fined when the paper just flew out on its own? Apparently this was just a typical case of high floor littering, and his apparent defense was that he did not actively participate in the throwing of the said paper. Fair enough, but too bad, as the judge soon explained to him that he has a duty to ensure that whatever is kept close to his window in his premises is his property, and therefore his duty to ensure that they are safe and secure and will not fly everywhere, much less fall to the ground floor. Again, not seeming to be one to give up, Mr. Chua explained that these papers of his were always taped up and that he had done all he could to prevent any form of littering. Well then, the judge explained that if that's the case, is Mr. Chua saying that he wished to contest the charges and proceed to trial? Obviously, going to trial is a big deal, and more importantly, a big hassle and stress to anyone at any stage in their life. And for the sake of a small charge such as this, often litigants will just plead guilty to avoid any hassle. Whether this is right or wrong is not the debate of this video, but it's just one of the realities in life, and there are avenues to access of justice that a litigant can take in Singapore. So don't come after me, Singapore. I'm not saying anything about the justice system. So, obviously, Mr. Chua will naturally not want to proceed to trial, but neither is he willing to just take it lying down. So, as a last-ditch effort to prove his point, Mr. Chua made the following argument, which will stay with me for the rest of my life. Yes, the paper fell from my window, but it was just a normal paper. I will plead guilty, but just tell me, if it was a $50 bill that flew out from my window that day, will I still be charged for littering and be here today? If it was just money falling from the sky, will I still be charged today? Tell me. Tell me. With that statement made, I, who was seated obediently at the back of the podium, couldn't help but let out a little laugh. A soft one, of course. Even the secretaries were smirking. The look on the young judge's face, as well as the indignance on Mr. Chua's face, just absolutely made my day. And I thought, Mr. Chua may actually be right. Legally, he may still be charged, but I'm not too sure whether anyone will actually want to write out such a charge. In the end, the young judge said that this was not the issue at hand and did not provide any answer. Good on the judge. She was not caught up with his nonsense. But to me, Mr. Chua took the W that day. Obviously, because his amazing argument left such a significant memory in my mind. Since that day, I attended many trials and hearings, but nothing left so much of an impression as compared to his statement. And I found myself thinking, why is that so? Is it really because Mr. Chua was correct? If money fell from the sky, would you still be interested in reporting anyone for littering? No, probably. Unless it was a huge wad of cash as thick and heavy as bricks. Then maybe. But money fall from sky is a wish that nearly everyone would have made in their lifetime. And if you don't, one, you're either a guru that really doesn't require money to live and just live off the land. Or two, you already have so much goddamn money that a wad of cash means nothing to you. So, what do you think? And have you heard any other more atrocious and funny things in court? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video today, please do give a like and subscribe for more videos. I also play story-based games in my free time, and if you would like to check them out, I'll give a link to one of them right here. Click on it. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Like and subscribe, please.